todos.
Good morning, everyone. Very welcome to the beautiful Belém. Mr. President of the Republic, Lula da Silva, Special Envoy for Women for COP30, President of the Senate, on behalf of whom I welcome all the Parliament members that are here joining us. I would like to commend the Minister of Justice on his behalf, the ministers here present, and naturally my dear Babayev, who had so many kind words in relation to myself, and my dear Simon, Executive Secretary of UNFCCC. I would like to acknowledge a few people as of now, starting with the Governor of the State of Pará, Helder Barbalho. It is wonderful to see your pride in being the Governor of Pará. This is extraordinarily contagious. I also would like to commend the governors present, and I also commend the mayors here present on behalf of the mayor of Belém, who's also here with us. The presence of governors and mayors is extremely important because subnational entities play a central role in implementing the decisions of the COPs. And also the presence of all Parliament members, together with governors, with courts, shows the fact that Brazil is gathered together around the agenda of COP30. And I believe it is highly important for the world to see that there is in Brazil such a gathering and union of all instances for an agenda that, as we all know, will be exceptional for the growth, generation of jobs, and improvement of people's lives. I would also like to thank all of those who have worked tirelessly to make COP30 happen, from the planning stages to some years to these days when we will spend so many hours in this venue. I would like to acknowledge that the works for the preparation and coordination of COP30 was in the hands of the Chief of Staff, Minister Rui Costa is here. I thank him and the whole team for the extraordinary efforts that I was witness to. I would also like to thank the high-level champion of Brazil, Dani Ospi, the champion of youth, Marcelo Oliveira, and I also want to mention the circles of COP presidency, amongst which we have Minister Sônia Guajajara, who is a chair of one of these. I would also like to commend the special envoys, Brazilian and foreign, who have followed me along this year, and the members of the councils of the COP presidency. Finally, dear friends, delegates here present, I cannot start by speaking of the Minister of Environment of Brazil, Minister Marina Silva, the head of the Brazilian delegation, an inspiration to so many people in this world. And you can rest assured, Minister, a great inspiration to the Brazilian presidency of COP. It is a great honor to assume the presidency of COP30. I have 43 years of diplomatic career, so I think I can understand the responsibility ahead, which is not small. not only during the 12 days of the conference, but also throughout the 12 months ahead of me as my mandate as the president of COP. In 1992, I was just a young diplomat working on the organization of Rio 92 conference, the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, where the UN Climate Convention was born. I became fascinated with the topic at the time, with the possibilities that this agenda opened for the Brazilian diplomacy. I was also impressed by the talent of my fellow negotiators and their example decades later following me. And I think I am a very aware heir of this tradition of serving Brazil. I cannot express how proud I feel to serve my country. I would like to pay a tribute to all the colleagues who before me have taught me to make the things that I will try and do here in this COP under my presidency. We're gathered here to try and change things. I deeply believe that human beings are essentially good, but we know that they are capable of terrible things, such as war, which has unfortunately returned to threaten the lives of so many. Yet humankind has done and continues to do extraordinary things, and to think that we can improve people's lives is what inspires us. And despite recent setbacks, living conditions around the world can continue to improve. Science, education, and culture show us the way. And in the fight against climate change, multilateralism is the way. And even if I may be biased in speaking well of multilateral diplomacy, I will do so. With the Montreal Protocol, in 2.5 decades, we were able to eliminate 95% of the gases that cause the ozone layer hole, which is now healing. To remind you that the Paris Agreement 10 years ago came in a moment in which we were supposed to exceed 4 degrees of temperature. And now we know that we have reduced a lot, but we know that we have to work much more to reduce even more. This is a moment of many celebrations, but we have to be humble enough and realistic enough to know that there are still many things to be done. We're almost there, but we have to do much more. What has changed completely my perception about this process had to do with a sense of urgency. My background is in the defense of the interests of a country. Just like any of you here, we have to defend the interests of our countries. But urgency is the element that adds to it, which is something that is as present and that make us be reminded with sadness, such as this week in Brazil, in the state of Paraná, or in the Philippines, or a few weeks back in Jamaica. Our responsibility is immense. President Lula, I owe entirely to you the fact that I am sitting here today. I still do not fully know why I was chosen, but it might be because I could gather a wonderful team. And with this team, we are going to make what you expect us to do, always counting on your help, but I think you can count on us as well. During the mobilization process to prepare for the COP period, we were able that one word, which is an indigenous word in Brazil called mutirão, became a word in every dictionary. And it is through the mutirão that we are going to be able to implement the decisions of this COP and the previous ones. We want, and we have said many times, but we have to repeat, this is a COP that has to present solutions, and the action agenda that we have structured for this COP, of which we will have many ministers of state of Brazil and other authorities in multiple events with absolute essential dimension. This action agenda will show many pathways. Therefore, this is a COP of implementation. I hope it will be reminded as a COP of adaptation, a COP of advancing climate integration with the economy, activities, generation of jobs, and above all, a COP which will hear and believe in science. And in this sense, Mr. President, thank you for having found the ideal formula to define this COP, which is the COP of truth. Thanks so much, everyone.
Do I go there? Agora eu tenho que aprender.
Now, I need to learn how to be COP president, and thank God I have help right next to me.
Okay. Distinguished delegates, I now declare open the 7th session of the Conference of the Parties, serving as the meeting of the parties.